We all keep talking about how international funds have done so remarkably well over the last year, but we haven't realized that they're so different within that category that some of them have gone up 50% and some others have gone down 40%, and it's important for us to tell the difference. So let me bring in Dhirendra Kumar, the CEO of Value Research, who will help us tell the difference between these international funds. Dhirendra, when we look at the category of international funds as they are today, the interesting to note is the difference between the best and the worst fund. The best fund, Franklin India Feeder, was up 50% over the last year. The worst fund is the Pine Ridge World Gold Fund. It's down 35%. Now, this sort of difference is not visible in other categories. Tell us why international funds are so different from each other.
This is a very unusual category. The international fund category is actually not a category. It is not a homogeneous set. When we think of, large cap funds are similar. When we think of, when we talk of mid cap fund or small cap fund, they are similar. Not the international fund, because the international fund, on one hand, you have a US opportunity fund, you have a Latin America fund, then you have this World Gold Fund. They are very different. They invest in a narrow part of the market, or they invest in a broad, array of geography. So they are not comparable. Yes, what we see is that kind of variability, that the varied, the completely divergent focus is translating into this kind of divergence of return. You have minus 35, and that is quite understandable. Looking at the US fund, the US market did well and our currency depreciated. In case of the gold fund, it is a high octane. It is. I would say that the high octane thing on gold. Gold prices fall, and when gold prices fall, then the gold mining companies fall much more than gold prices. And that is what, so even despite the rupee depreciation, it is translating into 35% return, and this is very much in line with the gold prices. Gold prices globally in the US are down about 30%, so this fund is down 35%. Look at all international funds very individually, and I think the focus of investors should be to diversify with international fund rather than try and look at something exotic.
Tell us then how we should choose an international fund if they're so different from each other and they're so difficult to point out. Tell us how to pick an international fund and what we should focus on.
Any investor should be entirely focused on diversification, and most investors have their jobs in India. They have their earning source, income in India, and all our investments is in India. So the way to diversify, the way to de-risk yourself partially is by investing in these international funds. And these international funds are very convenient vehicle. If you try and diversify yourself geographically beyond India, it's very complex, and it may not be worth your while with your small amount of money. It is these international funds actually democratize EV diversification globally.
In fact, we have a question from one of our viewers. Hasib Muhammad is written in. He's 24 years old. He writes in from Hyderabad. And he tells us he has savings of about 2 lakh rupees right now, and he wants to know if he should invest this money in mutual funds or in shares directly. What is the best way to earn the highest returns, Dhirendra? So a young man, obviously, wanting the best returns, what would you like him to do?
Hasib, if you have never invested your money, don't think of dabbling into stocks directly. And I would also urge you to not even consider an equity fund. At best, you should do is 2 lakh rupees, at least spread it over the next 5-6 months into in a balanced fund, and this is the way you will actually be able to realize reap the benefit from equity. I'm assuming that your investment is for a couple of years.